What is up, everyone? My name is Justin, and today we're back already with another tier list. This time we're doing power-ups. If you didn't watch the last video, I already went over the troops. It's on the screen right now. It's also in the link in the description below if you want to check it out. I'm going to be ranking the power-ups the same way as I did the troops. Should be nothing new if you've watched the last video, but of course go and check it out. That video is rather polarizing within the Grandmaster community, which, to say the least, I'm not surprised. I forgot to say this in the last video, is that everything that I'm doing here is 100% my opinion, okay? It's not based on anyone else's opinion. I'm not trying to make a general tier list for everyone. This is my opinions, my thoughts. All right, you get the idea, right? But yeah, a lot of people disagreed with the stuff that I did. There were some disagreements that were somewhat common. I can understand why, but just to make it clear right now, none of my opinions from that video has changed since. Now, for this power-ups tier list that I'm about to do, for the most part, there isn't anything that's too hot, too controversial. I think after glancing over all of these cards and thinking about my thoughts on all of them, this is probably my least controversial tier list. So hopefully this is something that we can all be happy with. All right, enough time wasted. I'm gonna do it in the same order as last time. So I did it in order of HQ levels. Gonna do it again. So starting off weak. The last time we started off strong, we're starting off real weak this time around, man. Airstrike, look guys, the thumbnail is a lie. Airstrike sucks. Airstrike is not a good power up. If you seriously believe that thumbnail, I'm sorry, no. Airstrike is garbage. What value are you getting out of it? Like really, when you put this thing down, right? So you can use it on offense, I guess. You can use it to maybe get damage off troops, but there's not much of an explanation I can say for this other than it just does like almost nothing. It does so little damage, it literally just tickles you. When someone brings in an airstrike on me, sometimes I don't even exit the thing because it just doesn't hit me or does so little damage. Like I could totally care less. Like yeah, if you have a bunch of munitions lying around and you know you're about to win the game or whatever and you just want to buy something to secure that win, you know, by all means buy it. But listen, man, I'm just gonna tell you straight up, this power up sucks. Actually, yeah, I think this goes down as the worst power up in the game. It's just so non-threatening. Yeah, that's it. It's just so non-threatening. Seriously, I'd love to see some airstrike advocates in the comments. That would be kind of hilarious. Okay, so next up we have Grunts. Grunts also cost 500 and they're pretty good. I think they're really good. Yes, they don't have a lot of health. They don't do a lot of damage. But the best thing about them is that there's just a lot of them. And so all together added up, they actually have a pretty solid amount of health. And they're kind of annoying to deal with because there's so many of them. And you know, getting through them and trying to poke through to whoever's actually using that power up is difficult. For me, it's really good early game just to get a bit of extra health in for your team. But I think the best way to use Grunts is paired up with a win condition on offense, because let's say like with Zuka, you can kind of use Grunts as a meat shield and it buys extra time for you to do as much damage as you can. And for 500 munitions, I think it's very good at doing that. A tier for me is like a low A tier. Also, another thing to mention though, Grunts, or just like not just these Grunts, but really any type of Grunts, Warrior can kind of just farm its life leech on it. That is something to be aware of, but most of the time you don't really expect people to Warrior counter pick on Grunt games. It's very smart if you do it, but I don't see it too often. That is something I do have to mention though. Okay, here we go. Heal. Heal is awesome. This thing did get nerfed way back. When this thing was first initially used, it actually only costed 600 munitions. Now it costs 650. To the common eye, to the untrained professional, you might think that a 50 munition difference means nothing, but it actually means so much when you play medic. There's a trick that a lot of medic players used to do back in the day. Some people still do it now, but it's nowhere near as good as it used to be, where you can heal your teammates at the start of the game, and then that will get you to 600 munitions because you start with 500. And that means you can buy a heal at the start of the game, and that just gives you so much of an advantage. But now that it's 650, it actually takes quite a while. So by the time you can purchase heal, your team is already pretty close to the point, and you need to get there as soon as you can, and it's just not as reliable anymore. Still though, heal just as a power up on its own it's great. When you use it on a group of teammates, you get so many munitions back. Yeah, it costs 650, but you're getting like half or maybe even more than half of it in return. It is easily the best power-up that you can use in conjunction with Medic, but it's just so good for offense as well, or to put on uncaptured bases. I think that's actually the best spot to use heal. So it's such a great power up for value, and it's really not as expensive as it makes itself out to be because you get so much in return for the healing. Definitely an S tier power up. I don't think people can argue with this one. All right, baby turret. How many people actually really love using baby turret? I see some grandmasters who, you know, like they just use most of their munitions on power-ups, and for some reason they love to use baby turret on offense. Personally though, I'm not one of them. I think that when it comes to ranking power-ups, you have to look at it as this. Not just how much work they put in, but also their value, how much they are worth. So baby turret, I believe baby turret costs $750, right? Most of the time, I actually don't buy baby turret because it's just better to save up for something better. And that's something you really need to take into account with power-ups. Is it worth buying it, or is it worth saving up for something that's better, or a vehicle, or a defense? You know what I mean. And I think with baby turret, that's not always the case. It has some really solid health actually for its cost, and its damage is not bad either. It's quite annoying. However, most of the time, I would not purchase this thing. I know this might be a little bit harsh, but there are just so many good power-ups in this game that this thing actually ranks really low despite being decent, because its value is not the best. So it's actually going in the high C tier for me. Still, it's not bad by any means, but there's just so many power-ups that are better than it. Speaking of power-ups that are better than it, we have shield, which is going right into the S tier. It's always been an eternal debate. Is shield better than heal? Shield or heal? Which one is better? Well, personally, I've always gone back and forth between each alpha playtest and soft launch. And I think right now it's really the most confusing, because when Medic was at its absolute best, and what I mean by that was when heal costed 600, it was like heal all day, every day. So powerful, so good, so much value. Now, back to the topic of shield. Shield has to be one of, if not the most versatile power-up in the entire game. And it only costs 500. It's so nice to use in early game. Pretty good in mid game as well, because you can use it to defend the HQ, which I see quite a people do. They put it directly in front of their HQ so that you either have to go around it or take it out in order to hit the HQ. Unless you're using something like Fire Bomber, but it's not always that you see that. It is a good way to go around it though. You can also use it on defenses as well to protect defenses. You can use it on offense, of course, that's the most common way to use it. It pairs well with so many different things. There's so many great ways to use shield, and it's so inexpensive, but it just does so much work. It can make all the difference. Now, for me, I think that I have to go, if I'm ranking one higher or lower, it has to be one that I think I buy more, that I think is more worth it. And it's usually dependent on when that time is. Like, there are good times to use heal, and some bad times to use heal. But with shield, I feel like there are very few times that it's a really bad moment to use shield, because shield can just be applied in so many places. So I'm gonna give the slight edge to shield, but that doesn't mean that I'm downplaying heal whatsoever. Heal is fantastic too. These are both solid S tier power-ups. Flame Strike, man, it's taken us a very long time to figure out what makes Flame Strike good. It was actually like right there in front of us the entire time, but no one really figured it out until soft launch. For some reason, we all called Flame Strike a really mediocre power-up, but ever since we found one thing that it became good at, or not became, but I guess it was always good at, I can't help but say that Flame Strike is amazing. Now, this power-up is super inversatile, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's not really that great in almost everything except for one thing. When there is a base, of course, you just use this in mid game or late game. When there's a base and it's destroyed, and there's like no HQ on it, and people are trying to capture it from the enemy team, get a Flame Strike and take a fast troop like Medic or a shotgun or just anything that you can get there on time with, and drop a Flame Strike on there, and oh, man, it is just such a great way to time stall, to buy time for your team to get to that base. Do you want to know how long Flame Strike lasts for? This thing lasts 19 seconds. God, 19 seconds is so long. I don't know if you know, when there's 3 people standing on a point, it takes approximately around 20 seconds to capture the base. And if it takes 20 seconds with 3 people on it, 3 or more people, and you put a flame strike on it, you're theoretically doubling the amount of time it takes to capture that point if no one else is standing on because everyone's going off. So in order to go around this, you have to have a vehicle to stand there and soak up all that damage, and they don't have to go off because they have so much health. But it's not like there always is going to be a vehicle for that. So like Flame Strike is just incredible mid-game and late game in that specific situation. And I think that alone, that 19-second time stalling is brutal when it's used at the perfect time. That alone goes in the S tier for me. It's like a low S tier. I was thinking going close to A tier, but to be honest, like just use it at that one time that it's incredible at. Like it is so good at that one moment, and you only need to use it in that one moment. Like you just don't have to buy it at any other moment. Just put it in S tier, man. All right. Grunts versus Elite Grunts. Now this is an interesting debate. What do you guys think about this one? For me, I think Grunts are better. I think Elite Grunts are B tier. Now, why is this? Personally, now Elite Grunts are quite high in health and they do quite good damage too, but man, why are they so overpriced? Why do they cost so much? Like they got really good health, and I think they pair very well with win conditions like Zuka especially. And I think there's a very important saying when it comes to this power up. Time is money. Elite Grunts have so much health and they buy so much time for Zuka, Firebomber, whatever win condition that you're using. It can help you get like 2 or 3 or 4, maybe even 5 more shots off on the HQ by putting these down. So I think they're super helpful, but they are so expensive that you have to use them at the perfect time and make sure that, you know, this is the right play. Like it has to be the optimal play because it just costs so much. Now they are pretty solid. Again, there are just so many great power-ups in the game, and you will see that as I continue to put stuff on this tier list. Well, I think that might be one that people will disagree with, maybe like A tier. Super Airstrike. You know what? My opinion has never changed on Super Airstrike. Like ever since the very beginning in Alpha, I've always thought Super Airstrike was a very good power-up. Going in the A tier for me, high A tier, I would say like an A+. It's just got great damage. You know, its radius, its circumference is massive. It destroys squishy troops in a second if you do get hit. And on offense, you know, it's like a suicide attack with jetpack. It is very good. It's a good way to take out defenses, do a lot of damage to the HQ, possibly take out people who are defending and, you know, they don't have enough time to get out of the radius. It's a very threatening power-up, but the reason why it's not going to go in S tier is actually because using this power-up can sometimes be a bit of a gamble. Like, have you ever had times where you're in a Super Airstrike and like it keeps going on, but you just don't get hit for some reason? It's weird. It's definitely RNG based, but when it hits stuff,
it just, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
But usually if you are using an offense and the radius covers defenses in the HQ, you'll definitely get some damage off. So high A, I think, is a pretty fitting spot for Super Airstrike. Baby Mortar, I think Baby Mortar goes in the same tier as Baby Turret. You know, Baby Mortar, it definitely can be threatening on the HQ. It has really good range, but it costs like what, 900 munitions?
Why are you spending 900 munitions on a baby power-up?
Why don't you just, I don't know, save that 900 for a vehicle, like a tank or whatever the heavy vehicle is in that game? Don't you think that would put in a lot more damage than a Baby Mortar? Now, sometimes there are some situations where you gotta clutch up with a Baby Mortar and it can definitely work out. It just costs so much. That's really all I can say. Like, it should not cost 900 to buy something that's like pretty decent, but not decent enough to be worth that many munitions. And also, like, if someone's defending with like a boom cannon, or for whatever reason there's a troop there that does extra damage to armored units, your 900 munitions is going down the drain, man. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to the one and only baby tanks. What an insane come up that baby tanks have had over the past year or so with Boom Beach Frontlines, man. I remember using this thing for the first time in January 2021, the alpha playtest that lasted for like a week. I think it was agreed among everybody in YCBTS that baby tanks were trash. Like the AI on this thing was terrible. It used to cost even more than it does now. It costs like 800 now, but back then it cost like 950 or something. It was Ugh, it was not good. But yeah, that was back then. Now, baby tanks right now. Oh man, that perspective is not the same anymore, man. That perspective is completely flipped. Unfortunately, its friend Airstrike could not have that same story. It just remained trash forever and ever. Baby tanks went from like one of the worst cards in the game, low D tier, to what I would consider now as the best power-up in Boom Beach Frontlines. This thing is just insane. Like, it costs 800. Yes, it's an armored unit, so it can be taken out kind of quickly, but honestly, its health is really good, and if you don't have anything that does a lot of damage to armored units, you're gonna be in for some trouble, man. It's got great health, great damage. There's 2 of them, so you know it does cover a bit for you if you're playing a win condition troop and you're going on offense. I can't believe that a card that costs 800 has the ability to potentially annihilate an HQ from full health to no health at all. Paired up with the win condition, yeah, it's going to put in so much work. But it's not only that it's great on offense, it's great on defense too. You ever see baby tanks just going around on defense? Anyone that's coming in, they're going to get blasted by those things too. It's just extra added damage and they're moving around, so it's not like a defense. It's like some overpowered grunts. That yes, well, it is easier to take them out if you have like a Zuka or something. Like, if you're playing them on offense, who is playing Zuka on defense? And if the game doesn't have a defense like Boom Cannon, oh man, baby tanks, they're gonna be so hard to kill. They are just an absolute powerhouse. There's really nothing else that costs 800 and then can just entirely melt down an HQ paired with a win condition troop. This power up is so nasty and it's very hard to misplay with baby tanks. All right, here's another baby defense, baby boom. Well, guess what? It's actually not gonna be C tier. It's gonna be A tier. Wait, doesn't it? It costs less than Baby Mortar though. It costs like 850. Yeah, yes. It's got pretty solid health. It's got good range and really good damage. Like, if you can get this thing to lock onto the HQ, it's going to be menacing. Ooh, okay, Minefield. Am I the only one who thinks Minefield is ridiculously underrated? And this is going to be another A tier for me. I would actually put this above Grunts and Baby Boom. The reason why I think Minefield is so good is because in the same way as Flame Strike, it can, you know, cover uncaptured bases. Now, obviously it doesn't cover the whole thing like Flame Strike does, so Flame Strike is better at that. But tripping over that thing does so much damage. Also, you can put it on bridges because they made it so that mines cannot go over water. So just like if you put it in thin areas, it will cover that entire thin area. The thing lasts for a ridiculously long time too. And you can actually have more than one at once after the cooldown ends. Like, it's really nice. It's just a really good power up for enclosing areas, you know, making it harder to get attacked, but also really good at just covering, you know, areas that you think the enemy will go to. You know what I mean. Minefield is just really good, and it's not too expensive for how much value that it can do. It's like Flame Strike, but it actually has more versatility than Flame Strike. This thing could totally be S tier. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, this thing could totally be S tier. I could do it. No, I'm just gonna keep it there. I'm just gonna keep it there because this thing is avoidable and you can go in other places. Plus, like, I believe if you have fast troops, you can trip the mines without taking damage. Totally forgot to mention that. Yeah, you know what? A tier is good. I think this spot is pretty accurate. All right, here we go. Grunts part 3 with Grunt Army. So, what is my ranking for Grunts? So I think Grunts, like the regular Grunts, are actually the best because for 500, they do so much. They buy a lot of time. It's just the most cost-efficient thing. And the thing about Grunt Army, this is the most expensive power-up in the game, going at 1,200 munitions, which is a lot, but it does spawn a ton of grunts. And you also got the healing grunts, the medi grunts, I believe, which are actually pretty nice. I do really like them. I think they do come in clutch. And they are paired very well with Zuka or other win conditions, but I think Zuka is just the best with it. To think that this thing costs more than some vehicles is wild. Like what, like a Gatling truck? This thing costs more than a Gatling truck. Gatling truck costs 1,000, this costs 1,200. But on offense, with a win condition, it can buy you so much time. Still, I think it is B tier. I actually do think it's better than Elite Grunts because the Medi Grunts are so nice. I do think it is worth 1200, but 1200 for a power up at the same time does come with its flaws. And a lot of the times, if it's not late game, I think just saving up for a vehicle in late game is usually the way to go. I actually do use Grunt Army quite a bit. I could put it in A tier, but I already know there's going to be so many more A tiers, so I just can't afford to do it. Okay, boom mines. I don't see a lot of people talking about boom mines, huh? Do you guys think boom mines are good or bad? I think boom mines are not the best, not gonna lie. And before you get angry, I know, I 100% know there is this thing that you can do where if you place them at the HQ before it is built, bots or just dumb people can trip over it and it will do loads of damage to the HQ. It has happened to me before. It is absolutely traumatizing if it happens, but the key word, if it happens, okay? If it happens. Does it always happen? No. But because there are bots and bots are stupid and they trip over it, it can be completely game changing. But if you spend those 800 munitions and no one trips over it, you're just an absolute clown. I actually do think they're C tier. I would probably put them at the top of C tier just because if you do get that damage off on the HQ, it's great. I know this thing was designed to deal like a brutal amount of damage to vehicles, but let's be honest, what kind of vehicles are dumb to go over a boom mine? All right, we got an interesting one, guys. We got repair laser. At one point in the career, or not in the career, in the lifetime of Boom Beach Frontlines, this card was the most broken thing. This thing was the most broken thing in the existence of any card in the game. But a while ago, they did the balance changes, and this thing got nerfed really hard. It got several nerfs. All of the nerfs were very reasonable too. Its munition cost was increased, its healing didn't last very long. So it's actually pretty balanced now, but I feel very unconfident ranking this thing because I haven't used it all too much since it got nerfed. It does still, change the game at times, but at other times it's not needed. So now you definitely have to think a lot harder when you use repair laser. It's not totally no skill, put it down on the HQ, heal the HQ fully, bring every game to the tiebreaker, because that's what this thing used to do. But nope, doesn't do it anymore. I think that it is not S tier anymore. I actually think I'm just going to put it in the A tier. I'm going to put it above Grunts, below Minefield. I think that's good. Because it can still be an absolute game-changing power-up, but it's no longer that power-up where it just becomes the center of focus where,
once you see repair laser, oh guys, look, it's a repair laser game. Looks like we're going to overtime.
It doesn't happen anymore. It can also get really easily countered by other power-ups that may be in the game. Still really good, of course, but thank goodness it's not broken anymore. I'm surprised that Space Apes actually found a way to nerf this thing properly and still not make it trash. Bomblets. Bomblets are good. They are really good. I don't know if they're S tier. I know some people do think they are S tier. They are quite cheap, but if you use it at the wrong time, they can just all be taken out and they just end up doing nothing. They also deal devastating amounts of damage on the HQ and just, whatever you place it nearby. I wouldn't put this thing at S tier, to be honest, because it's great, it's amazing, but I just don't think it's on the same level as these four. So I don't think it's on the same level as Super Airstrike either, honestly. I would probably put it right there. It's really good. It does so much damage. It's super cheap, but it also can be taken out if there are enough things to take it out, which can happen more often than you expect. I know that's a skill issue and you can go around it, but it is something to take in mind because it does happen pretty often. Decoys. Okay, so honestly, decoys are underrated. In and of themselves, decoys are not bad. They are super cheap. They cost 200 munitions, which is very, very nice. It's very nice to just use your spare munitions on it. It's actually pretty helpful because of the aim lock feature in this game. It throws people's aim lock off, so it actually makes it hard to aim directly at you because sometimes the aim lock will go for the decoys, and the decoys also deal damage when you take them out, so that's cool. But even though it's nice to use at times, unfortunately a lot of the times you don't actually need to use them. You can go without them, and it's usually better to save those 200 munitions because 200 munitions is worth like 2 kills, and yeah, you could help yourself get 2 kills with it, but you could just go without it and save up for something that is better. There's usually something better than decoys in the game. But if you have so many spare munitions, you want to use decoys because, I don't know, it'll help you defend or take out an HQ, go ahead. It's fine. It's not amazing. I feel really weird putting this on the same tier as Elite Grunts and Grunt Army though, so I'm still going to put it at the top of C tier. It's mainly just because that you don't need to buy it, and it's usually better to just save up for a vehicle or something that's more important, something that will impact the game more in your favor. Okay, Battle Boost. Battle Boost. Battle Boost is a very good power up. I think this is yet again another A tier. I think I don't know about a lot, but I know there are people who definitely would opt this thing for S tier. It's very good on offense. It's just placed near the HQ. You can do so much damage. Your reload time, you know, it's literally booster as a power up, but it does get taken out kind of quickly. Again, it's really good, but not on the same tier as these four. I think I will put it about here. It's like a solid A, like not low A, high A, solid A. But I will say, like, for 500 munitions, you definitely get a lot of value out of this thing. You don't always need it, but it is a solid power up. Not gonna deny that. With Battle Boost, you can kind of use this thing as like a cheat card to make early game flamer really strong without having to pair yourself with another flamer or a booster, like I mentioned in the troops video that makes booster pretty underrated. You can just use Battle Boost and, you know, that will work. Just overall, it's really great. And you cannot forget Warrior. This thing is excellently paired with Warrior on offense and early game too. Yeah. Boom Bundle. This is probably the biggest joke in the game right now because oh my gosh, why does this thing cost 400 munitions? Look, I understand that you can take this thing out and in the future, you know, it will definitely fall off, but okay, let me just cut to the point. It's S tier. It's S tier, probably the second best power up in the game. The fact that you can spend 400 munitions and take out an entire group of bots specifically, because, you know, we're not that stupid, right? Oh man, 400 munitions to almost team wipe, like, or to team wipe, crazy. And that's not even, that's just the beginning too. Not only can you do that and get so many munitions, like if you kill more than 4 people, you're literally getting a refund by using the boom bundle. You can also deal so much on the HQ because in mid game, there might not be enough defenses built or enough people defending to take out the boom bundle in time. That thing is insane. It does so much damage on the HQ. You can constantly cycle it with jetpack, which was one of the main factors why I put jetpack at a super high ranking in the troops video. It's just ridiculous. Like, why does this thing it costs less than Airstrike? Like, why? Yes, in the future there will be all real players and they will be able to take out the boom bundle very easily. So I think while it's the second best card right now for power-ups, it would probably drop here, maybe even here in the future, because it can be taken out and people will be smarter. But knowing that the game is mostly filled up by bots, this thing is a little bit broken right now. I could put it in first place, like I could just be like this, but you know, I gotta look at it realistically. Baby tanks are just on a whole nother level, man. But it's not too close. We're not too far away from each other. Like, these are both. This is S+, this is S+, and then shield and heal are like S, and flame strike like S-. But yeah, that is all the power-ups. That is a lot of power-ups, man. I know there's probably some things that I've forgotten, but there are just so many of them, and this video is totally unscripted. I'm just speaking my mind. Yeah, this is my power-up tier list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hopefully this is not as controversial, but you know what, I'm just gonna go over some things that could be changed. If you think Boom Mines is B tier, I understand, though I will not agree. Flame Strike could be A tier, maybe, but man, it's one application, it's just broken. Super Airstrike and Bomblets and maybe Minefield could be S tier. Some people might say Battle Boost S tier if you're like a huge Warrior fan. Some people might still think Repair Laser is broken, but look, I can't rank everything S tier, man. That's just not how it works. And there you go. That is my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know, should I do vehicles or defenses next? I think I'm gonna do defenses next. I'll see you guys in the next one. Please don't kill me if you disagree. I'd love to argue with you if you disagree. Let me know. All right, see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace out.